Before 1905, Americans drank clean water for free, straight from public wells, springs, and city fountains. Then one company figured out how to make billions off something that literally falls from the sky. Today, the average American family pays over $1,200 a year for water. I'm going to show you exactly how that happened and who profited.
Picture this. It's 1,890. You walk out of your home in Pittsburgh, Chicago, or New York. You go to the street corner, turn a handle on a public fountain, and drink clean, cold water for free. No bill, no plastic bottle, no subscription. Just water, given freely by your city. Now fast forward to today. Americans spend over $16 billion every single year on bottled water. Municipal water bills have tripled in the last 20 years. And 2.2 million Americans don't even have reliable running water at all. So what happened between then and now? One word: privatization. And today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how it was engineered, who did it, how they convinced the public, and what it still costs us today.
To understand the scam, you have to understand what existed before it. In the mid-1800s, American cities were building something extraordinary: public water infrastructure. Cities like Philadelphia, Boston, and Cincinnati constructed massive aqueduct systems modeled after ancient Rome. They were proud of it. It was a civic achievement. By 1880, over 600 American cities had public waterworks. These were municipally owned, taxpayer-funded, and designed with one purpose: to serve the people. Water was considered a public good, like roads, like schools. The idea that someone would own the rain and charge you for it would have been considered insane. But there was a problem. Or rather, there were people who saw an opportunity inside that problem. In the late 1800s, cities were growing fast. Industrialization was dumping waste into rivers. Typhoid and cholera outbreaks were real and terrifying. Cities like Chicago recorded thousands of deaths from contaminated water. This was a genuine crisis. And here's where the story gets dark. Instead of fixing the public infrastructure, which was entirely possible and being done in some places, private investors and industrial lobbyists began whispering a different solution: privatize it. The argument went like this: government is incompetent, private companies are efficient, let the market solve this. Sound familiar? This is the exact same argument used to privatize everything from prisons to schools, and it was first fully road-tested on water. Between 1890 and 1910, hundreds of municipal water systems were sold to or taken over by private holding companies. The companies promised modernization, clean water, lower costs. What they actually delivered was the infrastructure of dependency, a system where you could not survive without paying them. Now, let's talk about who actually did this. The most powerful player in the early privatization of American water wasn't a single company. It was a network of investment trusts and holding companies backed by the same Wall Street money that was buying up railroads, steel, and oil. J.P. Morgan-linked investors financed the consolidation of water utilities across the Northeast. By 1900, private water companies controlled water supply in cities across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New England. They raised rates almost immediately after acquisition. In some cities, water bills doubled within 2 years of privatization. Then came the bottled water side of the equation. In 1908, Poland Spring, already a famous resort water brand, began aggressive marketing of bottled water as cleaner, safer, and superior to tap. The message was simple: don't trust the city's water, trust ours. It cost money, but wasn't your family worth it? This two-pronged strategy was genius in its cynicism. On one track, privatize the infrastructure and raise rates. On the other track, sell the wealthy and escape hatch, bottled water, while making tap water seem dangerous. Both tracks generated profit. Both tracks eroded the idea of water as a public right. Fast forward to the 20th century, and Nestlé enters the picture. Nestlé's former CEO, Peter Brabeck-Letmathe, famously said in a 2005 documentary that water is not a human right, it should be privatized and have a market value. He later walked that back, but the company's behavior told a different story. Nestlé extracted water from drought-stricken California for years, paying just $524 in annual fees, while the state suffered its worst drought in centuries.
Here's what makes this story especially dark. The science to fix public water was available, and being used, it was just being suppressed or ignored in favor of privatization narratives. Chlorination of public water began in Jersey City in 1908 and was one of the most successful public health interventions in human history. Typhoid mortality rates dropped by over 90% in cities that adopted it. This wasn't a secret. Public water could be made safe, cheaply, at scale. But private bottled water companies had every incentive to undermine public confidence in tap water. And they did through advertising, through funding studies that highlighted contamination risks, while ignoring successful public solutions, and through lobbying against regulations that would have strengthened public water systems. The irony? Bottled water regulation is actually weaker than tap water regulation. The EPA sets strict standards for municipal water tested hundreds of times per day. The FDA oversees bottled water, and it doesn't require the same level of testing. Multiple studies have found microplastics, arsenic, and bacterial contamination in commercial bottled water brands. You paid more for less safety. That's not an accident. That's a business model. Let's look at the numbers. Americans spend $16 billion a year on bottled water. That's more than we spend on iPads. Average municipal water rates have increased 41% since 2010, outpacing inflation, outpacing wage growth. In cities like Detroit, Baltimore, and Atlanta, water shutoffs have displaced entire communities. The Flint water crisis is the most brutal example of what happens when the profit motive meets public water. In 2014, officials switched Flint's water source to cut costs, a decision driven by financial pressure. The result was lead contamination affecting nearly 100,000 residents, including 9,000 children. The cover-up went on for over a year. And Flint is not unique. There are over 3,000 water systems across America, with lead contamination levels higher than what was found in Flint. 3,000. They just didn't make the news. Meanwhile, the global water privatization market is projected to hit $1.3 trillion by 2030. Companies like Veolia, Suez, and American Waterworks now control water access for hundreds of millions of people worldwide. The CEO of American Waterworks made $6.4 million in 2022, while low-income customers in their service areas faced shutoffs. Here's the part of the story they really don't want you to see, because it proves it doesn't have to be this way. Paris remunicipalized its water system in 2010 after privatization failed. Within a year, water rates dropped 8%. Transparency improved. Water quality improved. The city saved $35 million annually. Over 180 cities in 35 countries have reversed water privatization since 2000. The global tide is turning, but slowly, and against enormous financial resistance. In the United States, cities like Boulder, Colorado, have fought successfully to keep water public. Activists in cities across the South have blocked privatization attempts. The movement exists. It's just massively outgunned financially. The solution isn't complicated. Treat water like a utility. Cap rates. Mandate transparency. Criminalize infrastructure neglect. Stop letting hedge funds buy municipal water systems. These aren't radical ideas. They're how the system worked before 1905. Water is not a product. It is a biological requirement for human survival. Every living person on Earth needs approximately 2 liters of water per day to survive. Putting that behind a paywall is not capitalism, it's extortion. The story of American water is really the story of what happens when we allow the slow erosion of the idea that some things should belong to everyone. Roads, schools, air, water. Once you accept that these can be commodified, there is no logical stopping point. Right now, water rights in the American West are being purchased by investment funds, not to use the water, but to hold it and sell it back at peak prices during droughts. They are quite literally betting that the climate crisis will make water scarce enough to generate enormous returns. They are betting on your thirst. Before you go, I need to ask you something. When was the last time you thought about where your water actually comes from? Who owns the pipes it travels through? What they're allowed to put in it and what they're allowed to keep secret? Most people haven't, because the system was designed to make you not think about it. You just pay the bill and move on. That's exactly what they want. So here's what I want you to do right now. 1. Drop a comment below. Tell me, do you drink tap or bottled water? And after watching this, are you going to change that? 2. If this video made you think, share it. Not for me. For the person in your life who still doesn't know this is happening. 3. Subscribe. Because next week I'm going in on the pharmaceutical industry's relationship with the FDA, and it makes this story look tame. The most dangerous thing you can do is stay uninformed. You just took a step. I'll see you in the next one.